Going live. Going live. We're live! There we go.
Woohoo!
Today you can only see me. Okay,
Yes.
there we go. Today we have a
Oh, no,
special
there we are.
guest.
Hello,
Yes.
I am Motham, and it is indeed my favorite book.
Yes. That's why you're here today.
Yes.
And we're talking about this book, by the way. It's mirrored right now on my camera, but it's the Project Hail Mary. Our what is it? May June book pick, right? Was it the May June?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's July.
Yay. Okay, shall we start? Get right into the first
Let's
easy
get into
questions.
the juice.
Okay, so what is your current read? And as always, chat, you can also write if you're here and want to share your current read. Who wants to start?
Our special guest can start.
Special guest can start.
Oh wait, with the so it is entirely unrelated, and it's not even sci-fi.
That's so
Yeah, it's called The Do's and Donuts of Love.
Oh, interesting.
And it's just a romance novel about a reality TV baking show. I finished it 2 minutes before starting this call.
Sounds interesting.
My favorite, my current read is Shatter Me, which I heard the plot is really good. Insert images of Aaron Warner as the plot. I've had people screaming at me for a while to read it. So yeah, I've just started it recently.
That is a big series, I think. Shatter Me, right?
Yeah. It's huge.
Like I saw the covers a lot on Bookstagram, but I never really knew what it was about. So I guess we gotta find out when Key is done.
Yes, yeah.
I actually have 3 current reads again because I have no control over myself. No, but
Really.
the first one is a buddy read, and I'm currently waiting on one more person of the buddy read to get to half of the book, and that's Rebel Fire. It's I'm not sure if it's a duology. Well, this is the second one of the series, and it's very nice. It has paper magic in it, and it's really unique and cool. I like it a lot. It has a lot of Studio Ghibli vibes, and it's very easy to read. It's not long either. I love short books, so it has like 346 pages, which is great.
Short book.
Yeah, for me that's short. In the fantasy genre, it is short. Yeah, and then I also started a while ago 6 Crimson Cranes, and my camera is not happy with the focusing right now. So yeah, I love the cover of this. It's so pretty. It's also fantasy, also set in Asia as well, and yeah, I'm over half through of this. And then the other one I'm reading right now is, or like listening to, is the audiobook of the first Bridgerton book. Because
I'm so sorry.
I have read that. I have read that.
Okay. Did you like it?
I was researching yet again I was researching for fan fiction, and people told me to read it so I could understand a certain work better. It all was read in the middle of the night, so I understood very little of the plot, but I found a certain character very annoying, and for the purpose of keeping this spoiler free, I will refrain from saying who that is. You Bridgerton readers know exactly who I mean.
Yeah, I watched the show, but I never read the book, so I was like, now it's the time. I found them as audiobooks, and I was like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. I'm not sure how many there are in the series, but it seemed like a lot, so it's definitely a project That's ahead of me.
I found out there was a series only, I think, 5 days ago when we were reading a journal with my cousin, and it mentioned one of the actors. I was like, "There's a Bridgerton show."
Oh,
So
yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? When we were watching the D&D movie, I said that one of the characters plays in Bridgerton.
I didn't think it was out yet. I thought it was like a promotional.
Oh man. Well, and you have something to watch, maybe. They're definitely not bad. But yeah, what are your current favorites when it comes to the past few months? Like anything, books or shows or even a song or audiobook?
Oh, so I'll go first.
Mhm.
Because there's been a really cool book I read recently to redeem myself after admitting to reading embarrassing romance. I read, it's called Nuclear Fusion: A Race to Build a Mini Sun on Earth, and it is just a very like basic pop sci guide on nuclear fusion energy, which is something I have been interested in recently. So I guess that's a recommendation from me for all the pop sci annoying people out there.
Well, my current favorite is actually an album which wasn't technically released. It was re-released, re-recorded, re-released. And that is
Taylor Swift.
Speak Now Taylor's version. And specifically the song Mean from that, because there's a specific part in it where I really like how the guitar just kind of like dips, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know, that's really the best way I can explain it, but it's amazing. I love it.
That's nice.
I've only heard the Fall Out Boy collab song yet when you sent it to me.
It's an interesting collab. Didn't think it would happen.
Indeed. But actually, Taylor Swift in the past has said that a lot of her lyrics are inspired by the writing of Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy, which is their bassist. So
Oh, fun.
mild connection there.
Since we had a book and songs, my recommendation for a show, I guess, or like my current favorite, is that the second season of The Summer I Turned Pretty came out. It's only the first 3 episodes, and it's a really big cliffhanger, of course, at the end of the third one, which we love. But yeah, it's a very good show. I would say it's a tiny bit better than the books, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's rare.
Yeah. Okay. But then let's head towards the actual book of this discussion. Your star rating for Project Hail Mary without spoilers for now. Motham, if you want to start.
Boom, 5 easily. I mean, it's genuinely one of the best things I've read because it does not tax you a lot and it has just the right amount of science. So loved it.
What about you?
Yeah, I also gave it 5 stars, which we'll get into why later when I can say spoilers. But generally I have a rating system, and that is why I gave it a 5-star.
Oh, I already know.
Yeah.
Pulls out the spreadsheet.
Oh yes, the beloved spreadsheet. Overall, I found the book to be very hilarious, very touching at moments, very heartwarming, and the physics I didn't really understand. We'll get into that later as well, but
Same.
overall, solid book.
Yeah.
What is relativity?
Yeah, I was.
My point exactly.
Don't call me out.
That was not sarcastic. I have no idea what like the basic concepts. Sure, if you ask me any of the math behind it, I will start crying and then keep crying.
But same.
Yeah, for me, I was between 4 and 5 stars as well. I ended up giving it 4.5 because I can say this without spoilers, but I read The Martian, and what I noticed at that the characters are very similar, like Grace and the main character of Martian. I forgot his name, and
Oh
that
yeah, now that you
was
pointed out,
Mhm.
that's true.
Yeah, and it felt really similar, and I think it's kind of like, yeah, he knew that this kind of character works, and so it just felt too similar to me. Like I would have liked a bit of a difference in the characters, the main characters. That was my only like more critique to it, so I ended up not giving it the full 5 stars. Yeah, but with the rest, I totally agree. The humor in this book was amazing. Like most of my markers, I was actually looking for the quotes, so through the quotes again afterwards, and I was like, this is just funny parts. It's not because
Yeah.
normally I mark things that I can relate to, like something more deep. And this was literally just humor. That's all I marked, really. Just some funny conversations between the characters.
Yeah, I had a tabbing system of like blue for physics stuff that I was going to have to hunt down my physics teacher to explain that to me. Which poor dude, I'm going in a week before school starts.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be annoying him. Um, orange for stuff that like stood out to me, not necessarily funny, but just stood out to me in some way, and then yellow for funny stuff. And if you saw in the Discord, I was kind of angry at the author because I ended up running out of yellow tabs
Mhm.
before I got to the end, so I had to switch my color scheme about 80% through to green. Which I was kind of angry at, but it's fine.
Yeah, that's annoying.
It's fine. I forgive him for it, but I would have appreciated it if he would have, not made me run out of
Not being
yellow
so
tabs.
funny. Not being
Yes.
so many physics as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, so the other questions before we dive into the spoilers, if you're newer to the genre, so sci-fi the genre, how did you like the setting in general?
Can I note that I am not new to the genre, but I do have a couple of things to say.
Mhm.
So, first of all, even for sci-fi, this is pretty unusual because in the very conception of the genre, with authors like Welsh or Le Guin, it was more about explaining concepts, especially social or political, with like these new developments happening around them, because this was obviously very early on in the development of technology as well
Mhm.
for H.G. Wells. Uh, so, and after that, a lot of sci-fi stories that you are very familiar with, Star Trek, Star Wars, most of the stuff you find that has like big fandoms or huge cult following, it's usually science based in the same way that it was science based for the pioneers of the genre.
Mm.
It's loose and imaginative, and honestly, I often find that science is lacking.
Mhm.
And here specifically, it was very surprising and refreshing to see a sci-fi book that really pays attention to science, even though some of it is butchered. And the setting was unusual as well because it did not deal as much with interactions, obviously, since Grace was, well, stranded in space.
Mm. That's an interesting point. Key, what about you? Are you new or newer to
I
the
am
genre?
very new to the genre. I personally, so before I read this book, I tried to stay as far away from physics as possible. Um,
Same.
so my subject choice was very much staying far, far away from physics. And I read this, and halfway through, I was like, okay, I'm switching to physics. But the I really enjoyed the setting. Because I am kind of familiar with other sci-fi works. For example, Star Wars was mentioned, although I've never really seen it. I kind of know what goes on. Um, So I found it very interesting, and the way stuff is explained is kind of confusing at points, but that physics for you. Yeah, I found it very, very, very good.
Very
I
good.
am terrible at giving reviews. Oh my god.
Very good.
I had a point. I don't know where it got lost in the sauce. I don't.
That's totally okay.
Yeah, I found the setting to be very, very intriguing. Definitely.
Seems to be buffering right now, no?
Yeah, for me as well.
Oh, we're back. We're back.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
So what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so far I read sci-fi that was more also like in the fantasy area. And not much physics at all or anything like that. So it was definitely something new besides of Martian, which I had as an audiobook book before. And it was definitely, I think, with The Martian, I felt a lot more overwhelmed than with this one. So even though I have a little bit experience, I still felt like this one was the most comfortable for me to experience when it comes to the setting.
And can I ask you guys about the setting?
Yeah.
So, how did you both feel about the specific element of isolation?
You wanna go first? It's all your.
Or it sent me back to 7th grade.
Ooh, call it.
Very fun. Well, COVID reminded me of the beginning of the book, but it was very interesting going through the main character's journey of like realizing where he is, why he's there.
Oh, yeah.
And then thinking that he's I don't really want to say much because I'm not sure how much of it is spoiling.
We can continue in the spoiler part.
Yeah, we can go into the spoiler part now. So if you haven't read the book yet and don't want to get any spoilers, better, mute or
Click
click the
off
video
now.
away because we are
Leave,
diving
run,
into the spoilers.
run, don't
Yeah.
Run.
Run very fast. Okay, let's go. Spoilers ahead.
Yes. It was very intriguing seeing him go through like the motions of realizing that he is in space alone and the feeling of doom settling over him that he's going to die alone, stranded in space. And then all of a sudden a friend comes along and I was like, oh my god. So
Oh, yeah, totally. And also, can I just note the first few chapters all end in a realization? I believe it was first I am in space, then I am in another solar system, then I am a teacher, etc., etc., etc. It's all very it's parallels to.
Mm. Yeah, it's like each chapter
the
he
IGCSE
makes
techniques.
progress in getting the situation, understand what's going on.
I also really liked how like his memories kept coming back in flashes and we were kind of taken into the flashes with him. That I also found very interesting.
Yeah. So I didn't mind the isolation factor of it at all. Like I kind of expected it. I didn't expect him having a friend with him because yeah, I kind of expected something similar to The Martian. So it was not bothering me or like surprising me that he was isolated and stuff. But
And did you guys prefer the flashback parts of the book or the in space parts of the book?
rough choice.
I don't think I can answer that.
Yeah, I guess
I enjoyed both
yeah.
for different reasons, and I like both of them just as much. They complemented each other very well.
Mm. Yeah, I think if it like one of them was missing, why am I lisping right now? If one of them was missing, I think some part of the humor would have been lost, like all the conversations he
Yeah,
had with
definitely.
Strad and
Mm-hmm.
the others. It was just so funny, and but then the space in that isolated setting, if that wasn't there, like we wouldn't have seen him develop as much. So
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't choose.
I think on my first read of the book, I much preferred the space scenes,
Mhm.
but the second time around, I was really looking forward to those flashbacks because it brought back all the funny stuff, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Um, how much of the science did you understand? Did you like the science terms, facts, or were they suffocating?
Key, I think you should go first because I will start rambling.
Okay. So I'm not the best in physics. I'll admit that now. As in, I know nothing. Uh,
Well, that's not.
which I think that is the general consensus of most physicists. So you know what? I'm one step closer. um, I didn't find the science terms suffocating in a way. It was just a lot of information thrown at me that I didn't completely understand. Um, and I think that is definitely just me. I'm sure people who have better understanding of physics would probably very much enjoy the physics references, I guess. Um, but yeah, it also gave me a way or a chance to look into stuff that I might be interested in. So
Mhm. Yeah, for me, um, hmm. So I don't understand anything about physics either. Like, it was never my thing. Um, but the way it's written and yeah, just the way that Grace talks about it, it doesn't make you feel dumb. You kind of feel like, oh,
yeah,
this is smart. I feel smart. Even though you don't fully
yeah,
understand it,
definitely.
but you kind of like he makes you feel like you understand it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah,
but yeah,
he
that's
really made
something
it
that.
accessible, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I didn't feel suffocated at
Mm.
all. Like that was something that I was a bit afraid of. That's why I also got the audiobook because I think reading it sometimes can be suffocating. But having someone like with the narrator, like he was very enthusiastic. And you kind of
Oh yeah.
feel that,
Mm.
like you feel that
She's a teacher,
enthusiasm
yeah,
in
for
him.
sure.
Yeah.
But also it was like much more math heavy than The Martian.
Mm-hmm.
The Martian had that counting calories bit, but aside from that, this had far more equations.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, for me, this is why I became obsessed with the book. It's the like nice integration of science while still not making it over the top and like exclusionary, where only physics nerds can ever possibly
Mm.
read it. So I really enjoyed that. But besides that, um, I really just like how Andy Weir used all the unexplored and yet unknown parts of physics to base the novelty and the mystery part on. So the way that astrophage is powered is via neutrino absorption, and that is completely that is just the perfect thing in physics because it's the intersection of the things that are scientific and
Mm-hmm.
are not pseudoscience like teleportation, which yeah, or laser guns or something, while also being unknown to humans, so you can speculate about it. So I felt like that was a perfect blend.
Yeah.
And this is true for a lot of stuff in the book, not just the astrophage bit, but a lot of stuff on, especially with Rocky and the extraterrestrial intelligence. It's just out of our reach, so it is still scientific while remaining, mysterious and new. I love it.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Mm. Was that for the ramble? Because then I would move on. I don't want to move on and
Oh
then.
yeah, and then last part of this thing. Aside from the obvious equations and science facts, there was another bit of science that I really appreciated. So he catered to a wider audience and was really good at explaining the concepts. I do not understand a lot of them either. It's like, God forbid, I don't know what astronomy is. I have never looked at a single astronomy textbook. Um, but aside from that, he had a lot of subtle references to physics concepts, like in the first part of the book there is a very thinly veiled mention of uh, the Rutherford experiment, which is very monumental to physics. That's how we found out what the structure of the atom is. And he mentioned it in a way that I did not notice during my first reread, but did during the second, and I was just fuming with excitement. It was amazing, man. And that is all. Rant over. I am restrained and calm and cool.
Okay. Do you want to add anything, Keith?
No, I think I've summed it up all.
Oh, okay.
From my part.
Were you bothered by the stereotypes of the different nations? That's an interesting point, I think.
Ooh. Yeah, for sure, man. I think that's the biggest flaw of the book, honestly. Getting to the very last parts, it got pretty bad, and the entire romance subplot, I don't know what to call it, affair with the two scientists, that was weird in general, getting into their personal lives. But even in but even in the beginning, I speak Russian. I'm Ukrainian, but I speak Russian and Ukrainian fluently. And it's a lot of stuff about Russians being crazy scientists that it was like he could have stepped away from it in a different direction, but it was the rest of the book was good enough that it could be obviously not excused, but man,
He definitely overdid it.
yeah,
Yeah,
he definitely has reservations, and I cannot speak about other racial stereotypes because I am white as a cracker, man. But I feel it's not my place to speak on them. I only am very intimately familiar with the Russian stereotypes, but he definitely has reservations about nationalities and cultures, and that has to be addressed, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I was waiting for that beer drinking German in that.
the vodka loving Russian. I think in the beginning I found it funny, but then after a while it just becomes the same thing and it's exhausting and it's like, okay, move on, dude.
Yeah. I had that issue as well with the audiobook, like because the narrator tried to make these accents and at the beginning it was kind of funny, but
Oh,
then it just got worse and worse and I yeah. I was just stunned at some point. I was like, yeah, we get it. We get it. There are stereotypes. Um but did we need to overdo it like this? Definitely not. No.
Yeah, like I think he wanted it to be like satirical, making fun of different countries, but it's just that's not the point of the book.
Yeah.
I can kind of see what he was going for because how would the different countries act or react in a situation like this. Um,
But he's
but yeah,
definitely a science guy, not a political scientist. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's for
yeah,
sure. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, that was kind of their
Also,
only
science was just
personality, like their stereotypes for their personality, and I didn't like that.
Oh, yeah, that is.
yeah.
In general, this book, I mean, with its limited amount of characters, it didn't have to do a lot of characterization, and it still managed to mess that up with
Yeah.
the stereotypes. So,
Mm, yeah. So we kind of agree on that, or mostly agree on it. That wasn't really needed that strongly. Um, were there any surprising parts to the book, ones that subverted your expectations? Since it
the
was, yeah. Sorry.
yes, goodbye question and okay, I'm kidding. Um, but the initial premise of the book, where you expect it to be your usual sci-fi, massive dramatic conflict, maybe something like intergalactic warfare, and it turns out to be space seaweed, I guess space weed. I don't know. and then the
See,
aliens, and then the alien turning out to be a Labrador-sized spider wearing a miscolored green t-shirt instead of your usual lanky, big-eyed type of thing. I just
Yeah.
I think for me the biggest shocking part was just how funny the book was, because I didn't really know what to expect. I know that it was like science. I knew that it was sci-fi, but I wasn't expecting it to be that funny.
Mm.
Um, that might be a very wrong assumption that of me, but that is an assumption that I made. And then yeah, the fact that he didn't go for the very common uh alien form, he decided to go for a unique take on the whole issue, which was
Mm.
very surprising and very much welcomed.
Yeah. That's probably also my main point that I didn't expect. I was kind of thinking it would be a one-man show again, like but then Rocky appeared and I was like, "Yay!" Something completely different. There we go. And then like the whole like learning to communicate with each other, and not just the main mission, that there was also this like side mission to communicate with Rocky and fixing problems together. That really surprised me.
teamwork.
Yeah, the teamwork. It
That
was
was that was
amazing.
a very endearing part for me.
Yippee! Uh, Actually, there's a institute that works specifically on understanding what intelligent life could be. It's called SETI, SETI. Excuse my
Mhm,
butchered spelling. And it's the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
mhm.
Um, and part of the alien concept was based on their work.
Okay.
So if people enjoy specifically figuring out like how an alien language would work and how we could try to understand the aliens and enjoyed that part of this book, you could look into some of their research. That's amazing.
That sounds very interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Um, your favorite moment scene in the book, or one of your favorite moments? Mm.
Mm, so I would say it's the beginning when Ryland Grace discovers that he's the first person to talk to an alien, because it's really just that high school physics teacher being like, I'm that guy now. And yeah, man, it's just, I really felt his excitement uh, because this curiosity and this fear and this anticipation all mixed together. And then figuring out that the aliens were friendly, and then learning to communicate and overcome the massive differences. It was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was probably I have two scenes like near the end. One when he's like on his way home, in quotation marks, when he's on his way home, or like they say goodbye, that and then he's on his way home. That has to be one of my favorites. And then the ending when he's on Erid and he's teaching a bunch of little Iridians science.
So cute, yeah.
That was so cute, and
I
that's what broke me. That's what got me to give it 5 stars.
Yeah. Like I've mentioned earlier before the stream, that Rocky is described as like the height of a golden retriever. And like I kept imagining Rocky to be like a golden retriever. And then the literary I never can say that word. The little aliens just like golden retriever puppies learning that stuff from him.
Oh my
my god. Yeah. For me, my favorite moment definitely. Unless wait, Key, are you? Is that it?
Yeah, that's
Okay. I didn't want to. For me, my favorite moment was definitely when Grace realizes, that Rocky is gonna die if he doesn't turn around and rescues him, and then turns around and goes searching for Rocky's ship. After the astrophage is like reaching, and yeah, that was like so touching. Like that was my favorite moment. That he, even though he knew
yeah.
he would die, like he would not make it back to Earth, that he still decided to go and help Rocky after everything Rocky has done, and helped him. Like he saved his life as well, so he kind of like went back
The
there.
true essence of found family.
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely my favorite moment. And that leads to the next question. Did you cry?
Well, we already know.
We already know why Key gave it 5 stars.
Oh, the criteria. I forgot that's the criteria, man. Well,
Key's criteria.
I
Get the
didn't.
spreadsheet.
I didn't. I am a heartless
Aw.
monster. I don't
You're an
know.
alpha male.
Oh, indeed. I am not like all those simple betas. I am an alpha male. And I don't know why. I think it was May. Maybe I have not been hydrated enough, but like no tears. That was
I
that.
think that's it.
That must be it, yeah.
Yeah, guys, stay hydrated. Drink water.
Cheers.
Otherwise, you won't cry.
So yeah.
Well, yes, I did.
Where? When?
It was.
How much?
So here's the thing with this book. I couldn't finish. Like I was so close to finishing. Like I was 20 pages away from finishing, and I was so emotionally distraught at that point. That was like when he realized that the astrophage had gone out of control. That I was like, okay, I gotta put this down for a second. And then I put it down for 2 days, and I finished it like a few days later. Which, by the way, this was the first book that I actually finished on time and not the day of the discussion.
Yay!
Wow.
Progress.
Totally wasn't on time. It was June or July 3rd that I finished it, but it's fine. It wasn't the day of the discussion. That's all that matters. And then yeah, just like him talking to Rocky through like the prison like phone thingy. That's just how I was imagining it. Just like you know how in the movies, prisoner and their family or whatever is talking through like those phones. That's how I kept imagining it. It was around that point, and then he went to teach the little Iridians, and then I just broke.
You lost. Yeah.
That was it for me.
Yeah, there was 2 parts that kind of made me tear up. The first one was when Rocky jumped in, even though like the atmosphere and stuff would have probably killed him. Or they made this book made you think that Rocky died, and I was like, no, please, no, don't make him die. And then that was the first part that I teared up, heartbroken, and then yeah, I was happy that he didn't end up dying. And then, as I said, my favorite moment was the moment as well where I again teared up because he turned around and rescued Rocky, and that was it. I think Rocky was like, "You came back" or something like this, and yeah, that was too much for me.
Yeah.
Rocky's just the cutest.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Your favorite quote of the book? It can also be a longer quote or like a conversation, because I think I have two conversations.
He asked me what my favorite quote was a while back, and I remember responding, but I don't remember the context of it.
What do you mean you don't remember the context of it?
Of the quote?
Of the quote or the conversation that we had about the quote?
Oh, yeah.
Oh wait, hold up. I forgot I had mic off.
Okay.
Um,
I was like sitting here.
I don't remember where I left off, so I'm gonna start from the very beginning. Quote is, "This is happy. Your face opening is in sad mode. Why? Question. It's just the way Rocky speaks.
Yeah.
Like, he's just little guy. He's just small. And that's all. What more can I say? There is nothing to add. He's the specialist little rock in the universe. And
rock retriever.
I don't remember
Not
the
golden
context
retriever,
of this
rock
at all.
retriever.
The context of the quote?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the context of the quote, because I remember this, because I remember when I asked you, you were like, "I'm not telling you, that's spoilers." And I was like, and then you sent it to me. I was like, "It's fine. I won't remember this anyway." And then I remembered it, and as I was approaching it, the moment, I was like, "Oh shit, that's what it is." It was basically when they were getting ready to say goodbye because they had bred all the what's it called, the predators for astrophage, and instead of being excited, he was very sad about it because
Oh, okay, fair.
he had to say goodbye to Rocky.
Oh man.
So,
oh, yeah.
as always, I have a few favorite quotes. I won't. So this is just gold. This little paragraph of So I'm a single man in my 30s who lives alone in a small apartment. I don't have any kids, but I like kids a lot. I don't like where this is going. A teacher. I'm a school teacher. I remember it now. Oh, thank God I'm a teacher. That just made me laugh so much. I was like, oh my God.
like the thought process of Grace is just so good.
Yeah, I did not think he would go there, and he went there, and I was like, And then another one was, he's not even that old for his species. Speaking of Rocky, there are old Iridians out there who were alive when Columbus discovered a bunch of people already living in North America. I really appreciated the a bunch of people already living in part. Important context, very important context. And then again at the end when Rocky asks Ryland about whether or not he's eaten, and Ryland says, "I thought I wasn't allowed to talk about my eating habits in like polite company." Rocky just goes, "I'm not polite company, my friend."
yeah.
It's a
Sorry.
it's very interesting. Like, I have no idea how Rocky compares to the rest of the Iridians in that sense.
Mm.
So maybe he indeed is like a complete asshole or something because we've never got to see what the rest of them are like. So
Yeah, true. And that Rocky also learned sarcasm in the end. Like that was just too good. Um, so for me, it's also a few conversations between Rocky and Grace. One is like I don't know the exact setting, but they were just trying to fix or like go to the planet, I think, to find the predator of astrophage, and they were just Rocky says, "Getting closer, be ready." Grace, I'm ready. Be very ready. I am very ready. Be calm. I'm calm. You be calm. And like that was just like the conversations between the two. It's just I love it. There was one, and then I have. Let me find it. Oh yeah. They were trying to fix the ship. Um, and then there was this conversation of the screws. I dropped one. Hold screws better. How? Use hand. My hand's busy with the wrench. Use second hand. My other hand's on the hull to keep me steady. Use third hand. Get Beatles. I make new screws because Rocky realized, oh no, wait, he only has two hands. It's not like me. Yeah, I don't know. Those scenes were just so cute.
they are silly.
Yeah.
Really, just the bickering between the two. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Or the first misunderstanding between two species, intergalactic. It was
Yes.
where they kept saying no and they didn't understand what the other one was saying no to. I relate to this because Ukrainian has a very different no yes system. So this is what like speaking to English speakers was like the first few years.
And then, of course, the real first miscommunication between humans and alien life was when Ryland started up the centrifuge to get gravity, and then Rocky just responded with spinning really fast.
Yeah, that's like.
Yeah, that was great. So we only have one question left, official questions. Everything else, like, if you still want to rant or say something after, feel free to. Who would you rather have as a companion if you're stranded in space? Rocky or Grace?
Rocky. That is no thoughts needed. I already said he's the single specialist little rock in the world. I would also run tests on him.
Mm-hmm. For Rocky. What about Yuki?
I think I'd also have to go with Rocky, because assuming we would actually be able to understand each other, his engineering knowledge is far better than mine. So that would be a very good thing to have.
Yeah.
And it is also far better than Ryland's. So
Yeah. And the materials as well are better.
Yeah.
I would assume we had the same equipment as Grace, so yeah, I also wrote that Rocky. I even wrote it, I don't know if you can tell, but it's here on the bottom and it has a heart behind it because I love Rocky. Yep.
Honest to God, if I would be stranded in space, I would not think I'd be getting out. And I feel like spending your last few 7,000 years in space with Rocky would be far more fun than with a physics major.
Agreed. Very much
Ironic,
agreed.
Oh, but the more important question that nobody is asking is: would you rather eat cannibalism burgers or space weed for the rest of your life?
my god.
Like in the end, when Ryland had those burgers made of like genetically cloned cells, or when he was eating the space algae.
I would go for the space algae.
I mean, if the burgers taste good, I'll go with the burgers.
Cannibalism.
I don't.
I'm team cannibalism as well.
Okay.
Look, my favorite character in GTA is Trevor Phillips. Of course, I picked that.
Well, I know who I don't want to be stranded in space with. Martha McKee, definitely a no-go. They will eat me.
No, only if it's like made out of my cells or my genetically cloned cells.
Oh, okay.
And different question. Is it vegan to eat cannibalism cloned burgers?
Because it's not actually like meat. Because it's cloned.
That's an ethical discussion.
Yeah, maybe we should not get into it. Maybe we should
I'll
not
ask the
get into
philosophy
that.
student if you wish.
I mean, it's not animal meat per se.
Technically, it is.
I mean,
oh
yeah.
wait,
there's a lot of aspects to go into here. I will ask both a biology major and a philosophy major.
And then different thing. I feel like somebody has figured it out and probably in favor of yes, vegan, but microorganisms are kind of animals? Or are they just considered bacteria? Because, like, isn't that also...
So many questions.
Listen, I just read a book about a cooking show. All I think about is food. It doesn't matter if I'm stranded with Rocky or Grace. Which one of them would it be better to cannibalize?
Oh my gosh. Okay, Key, did you have any other comments? You had a few things.
Let's get off the
cannibalism vegan topic.
Yes. I would like to just add that Strat is an asshole, but she is an asshole that I 100% relate to. And it was very disturbing to find out that she was a history major, because I want to be a history major who works in science. And I was just sitting there like, if I turn into Strat, like if I would 100% be Strat, I'll be honest. Me being me, I would 100% be Strat, but she's a fucking asshole, so. And then also, finding out that Iridians have sarcasm.
Oh, that was...
I love them.
Yeah. Keep going.
Just a quick question. So the cannibalism bit's figured out. If I were the only person with the gene to go into space, would you involuntarily send me, forcing me to abandon my class of unfortunate physics students?
Yes.
Yes.
Help.
I would, because look, the thing is, you can do a lot more for them in space than you could, because you can't teach tomorrow's generation if there isn't a tomorrow. Like, I 100%, I morally, I disagree with her, but from a practical standpoint, I 100% agree with her, and I think that is disturbing, and I should be studied, but it's fine.
No, I get it. I found a little quote from Strat and Grace's conversation. When she asked after they kind of kidnapped Grace, and she was like, "Dr. Grace, how was your trip?" "How was my trip?" I said. "I got dragged across the gosh darned world without any notice." She held up her hand. "It was just a pleasantry, Dr. Grace. I don't actually care how your trip was." That just sums up the character so well. Like, I don't actually care.
Okay, and what did you guys think about the very overlooked part of the book where they nuke Antarctica?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. I was like, that's just the Willow Project taken to 1,000. Like,
oh,
like once again, I get it, but
Yeah.
From a moral standpoint, it's like, why?
Yeah, the morals.
They went
But I'm
downhill,
not a
the
philosophy
morals.
student, so I don't care.
Yeah. Well, the same thing with the solars they put up in the, what was it, Sahara? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Desert. Yeah, that was also a rough decision, extreme decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was going to mention two things, but I don't remember the second thing. I might remember it, but I would just like to make a tiny little comment about I kept imagining Ryland Grace as Hank Green.
You are objectively correct.
And that's what I meant when I saw that they cast Ryan Gosling as to play Ryland Grace, I'm assuming. Because you would announce the casting of the main character first.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Hank Green would have been a much better decision. Were he not going through what he's going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Ryland, oh, what's his name? Ryan Gosling
Right.
supposed to be on strike right now?
I don't know. All of them are on strike. Everyone's on strike everywhere.
Yeah, I'll actually have to look into that because
Yeah. You remember the second thing, or otherwise
Nope, it completely left my head.
I mean, we had a lot of good points to discuss. It was very interesting and very fun. I don't think I ever laughed so much about doing a live show, but it fits the book. I never laughed so much about a book either. And it wasn't even a comedy book. Or not supposed to be a comedy book. But yeah,
I'm glad you guys enjoyed the discussion.
That's good. Yeah, it was your first discussion. I'm glad you had fun.
Thank you guys
I'm glad you joined us.
Yeah,
thank you guys for inviting me. I had no idea what I was doing, so I hope I didn't
you did
overstep.
well. You did amazing. No.
Striking up a conversation about cannibalism, so
nah. It's gonna be in the best of.
I don't know what I'm doing.
But yeah.
I'm doing half the time anyway either, so
yeah.
Don't worry. You did fine.
We're just going with the flow. But yeah, the next book pick for July, August? July, August. Also, this month already it starts. Is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah.
I have my very pretty copy here. It's gonna be my first classic actually, so that's gonna be interesting.
Hardcover or paperback?
And I don't know if every book has it, but this copy has some drawings as well, like a lot of pictures. Which I'm not
that's
sure.
Cool.
Yeah, like they look kind of like old drawings and yeah, I think that's gonna be fun to read if you have some visual references. But yeah,
I have a feeling this is going to be one of the books where it's just something that I get to very late in the second month, because by the time I'm home, like home, no more going anywhere, it's going to be August 22nd. And I don't know if I'll be able to find a copy that I am willing to
pay for.
Pay for, yes, because I have a classics like Collins Classics is what it's called, and very cheap copies of classics. I fucking love it. So yeah, that is probably what I'm gonna get.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Penguin Classics because I want to have them all.
I will definitely get those as well, but
yeah.
One at a time.
But yeah, thank you so much again, Motham, for joining.
Thank you.
And yeah, then we will see about the next book club discussion when it will be. Have fun reading.
Yes.
Very curious. And yeah, then I would say that's a wrap. And I will end the stream. I will figure it out how to end the stream this time. Okay, then
Bye.
goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day. See you.